Just change.
What is going on, Chop Nation? It's your boy JB, along with my coach Jeremiah James, and as always, you are listening to a Chop Talk. We are so excited to be here this week because we missed last week saying episode 50.
We did. We missed it. We went right by it.
We blew right by it. We were coming at you today, and we're going to celebrate 50 episodes today. Even though this is our 51st, we're going to celebrate 50 episodes today. So thank you that we could be doing this for about a year and a half now. 50 episodes in, hit a great milestone. Our views continue to go up. You guys continue to watch and listen. We're so excited at everything that we get to do here. But most importantly, we say thank you, because without you guys listening, it probably wouldn't encourage us to continue to do this. And so we probably would have shut it down a long time ago. But with where we've brought this thing, where the Lord has brought this thing, and from every country, every state, everybody that listens, we're just so thankful. We're glad that we could be here for you. You could be here for us, and we can inspire one another. So again, thank you for 50 episodes. Thank you for being here. Jeremiah James, we did it. We made it to 50.
We did.
Crazy. I remember us just celebrating 10, and here we are at 50. So
yeah,
how are
man.
you today, my friend?
I'm doing well. I know we'll go into some personal stuff in a second. So I wanted to just spend some time with Chop Nation. And again, just like he said, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. I know it's probably two different audiences, but we appreciate you all nonetheless. And I went back and watched the first episode or two, and I looked at the video and I listened to the audio, and I got to tell you, man, we've came a long way in a year and a half.
We have.
A long way. We've definitely made some upgrades. And then, we've had a lot of amazing guests. We've had, NFL players and college players and athletic directors and pastors on the show, and everyone in between, man. It's been pretty amazing.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. It's it has gone by so fast because we always fit this into the middle of our busy lives, and so it's like, all right, we plan. A lot of times it's a short plan, but we plan because we know that we've been doing this for a while, so we know that we can get into a flow. So it's not as if we have to spend a ton of time necessarily preparing. And especially since we're already such big sports advocates, then it's like, all right, well, the sports stuff is pretty easy for us. And so it's really just kind of allowing the Lord to lead us in our Jesus moments. And that's really what we spend the most time preparing for.
I agree.
And just so that
we real fast, I want to give some shout. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So we,
I wanted to give,
good.
There's a delay. I apologize. No, I wanted to give some shout outs to the countries and the states where people are listening. Is that cool with you?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. Obviously, the lion's share of our listeners are in the United States. But real fast, before we go through the states here, the folks in Canada, thank you for listening, specifically in Ontario and Quebec. You know who you are. The folks in Australia, New South Wales, South Australia, Queensland, and Victoria. We see you. We hear you. Thank you. We see your numbers here, and we know you're tuning in. To Chop Nation in England, Northern Ireland, we see you here. Sweden, and then Germany as well, in Saarland on the French border. So thank you for tuning in, Germany. And then back to the U.S. Obviously, we have a heavy presence of listeners here in Florida, which is where we're based. But we've got a lot in California, JB, a lot in Virginia, Georgia, and Colorado. Round out our top 5 in terms of states where the listeners are located.
That's awesome.
And then some of the other ones are New York, Washington State, Texas, Utah, Wisconsin, Illinois, Arizona, Iowa, Ohio, Indiana, Kansas, Michigan, North Carolina, Oregon, Tennessee. And there's more, including the District of Columbia. So just want to say thank you. If you like this show, just share it with a friend, share it with a family member, and then let's get the people who are in the states where we don't have anybody listening. So if you know anybody in Wyoming or Montana or New Mexico, let us know. We want some more listeners there. So let's. I think we're at what, 35 now, JB? We want all 50 states, right?
Oh yeah. I was just gonna ask. I was like, that should just be a big goal. Let's get to listeners in every state.
Yep. Yep. So thanks again, and I'll turn it back over to you, man. How's your week been? What's going on in your world?
Same stuff, different day, man. We had a great weekend. Just busy as usual. I worked Friday, and then Saturday, Sunday we had baseball, softball. They were in two different locations, and then Saturday we did I had to pull out of it and ask somebody else to go, but we had a charity event. I think I shared this maybe last week, here in the city of Apopka, we had one of our firefighters that suffered a medical emergency while on shift a little while back, and so we put together a charity event. A lot of fire departments will do what's called pumper pools. So it is
what's that?
It's teams in groups of 7 or 8. And there is you don't have to drag it a long way, but there's a rope that's attached to the front of a fire truck, and that team pulls it. And it's essentially whoever, every team gets an opportunity to pull, and whoever can pull it across the finish line the fastest wins. And
how long are you pulling this said fire truck?
I honestly don't know.
Are we talking like 500 feet, like a mile?
Finish. I don't know. I want to say 100 feet is maybe, more like 50, 60 feet, maybe. I'm not sure. I'm really bad at distance, really, to be real honest with you. But anywhere between 50 to 100 feet is, I would imagine, how far it is.
How long does that take? Curious. What's the record?
30 to 40 seconds.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So
pretty fast.
It was a great turnout. We had 14 teams. We had a great turnout. My shift, we like to call our shift the standard. We take a lot of pride in setting the standard for how we do things, and so that was long developed before I got there a year and a half ago. But certainly embrace that culture, embrace that name, and embrace what it stands for. So that's what we called our team name. But after softball and working out and everything on Thursday, my feet were just not having it, and I'm like, okay, I just do not want to be injured. And so I called in one of the younger guns and asked him to take my spot. We still went out there, and so I was still out there, with them, essentially yelling at them, as they're pulling. I'm right there beside them. And
you were coaching.
So the top 3 teams were extremely close, like literally less than a second. It was like 27.43, 27.55. Like they were literally less than a second, the top 3 teams. And and we were second or third behind our SWAT team and Winter Park. And so we asked them, we're like, hey, let's do a pull off. Like let's do this again. Top 3 teams. So the mayor was there, and he got everybody to cheer it on and accept it. So it's like, okay, here we go. So all 3 teams, they pulled again for a second time, and sure enough, the standard, my squad, they squeaked away with it, and we were able to bring home the trophy. So we got first place out of 14 teams, and we got some big guns on our team. So very, very excited to see that, but it was just a great event. And then, just a normal busy weekend, and here we are back at it again. My son started basketball practice last night, and this is the last week of baseball, so he goes straight from baseball and t-ball into basketball. And so it just life just doesn't stop. Our dog got sick yesterday morning before shift, and I was really kind of disheveled, getting into work and trying to get into work on time, but we did it. We made it through the day. Had a fire in the middle of the day. It's just, life is just a whirlwind, and you just allow it to be the norm and go on with the norm. But no, doing well, happy, healthy, walking on 2 feet by the grace of God.
There you go, man. Well, I'm celebrating a big day, separate from obviously being Veterans Day, which is thank you to all the veterans out there who served our country. It's obviously very important to our family.
Yes, for sure.
Well, I mean, that's why we chose this as our anniversary. So today is my wife and I's 7th anniversary. So happy anniversary, baby. I love you. And here's to another 7 fun, crazy, and adventure-filled years.
I used to have a clap over here.
We should find the clap again.
Yeah, I got to find the clap. I got to put the clap back in there.
Yeah, we're going to need it because we have a new. Yeah, thank you.
Well, that's awesome.
It's been a whirlwind of 7 years. Wouldn't change anything. Learned a lot.
Are you guys got any plans? You gonna go out somewhere tonight?
No, we've got plans this weekend.
Okay,
we're just super busy. No, there's no way today.
Yeah, for sure.
Being able to sit down and record this this episode was enough.
Yeah, I hear that. I got off, and my daughter originally had a game tonight. We were supposed to scrimmage with the next team down. And what's funny is they thought that they ended up not. They only had like three of their teammates from the next one down, the 6U team, confirm. And it is going to be really cold, so I think that probably had something to do with it as well. But I also heard that it was like they didn't want to play like the next team up because they thought they might get hurt. And I'm like,
right.
I don't know if you've come out to our practices. I think you're going to be safe.
You'll be fine. You'll be fine.
But nevertheless, super proud of this is the last week of softball. Kind of sad to see these girls go, but I'm certainly happy if a bunch of them come back. If my daughter wants to play again, then I'll go and coach again. But we'll see what happens. But yeah, man, congratulations to you guys. That's awesome.
Thank you. What was your record, out of curiosity? What'd you end up at?
We still have one more game, but I think we're like 2-9 or something like that.
Yeah.
This last weekend was a great game. We played right here around the corner against a tough team, and our girls they're just putting everything together, right? They really are putting everything together. All the pieces of everything they've learned. I've started to be harder on them. The coaches have embraced it and have come right beside me. And so we've been a lot tougher on them because it's like we've been at this now for 10 or 11 weeks and they should know these things. We have practice once or twice a week and games.
Right.
And we've gone over a lot of the same, fundamentals of things. And, for these girls, this is their first time, playing ball, swinging a bat, so on. And so they've come a long way. They really honestly have. And, super excited to see where they're at. And so, now it's just challenging them a little bit more and being a little bit more on top of them, of being a little bit more deliberate, making them run a lot more, which I didn't do like the first 3 quarters of the season. So within the last 3 weeks or so, it's like, hey, if you're not paying attention, you're running. Kind of, having a little bit more of higher expectations when they're out there in the game. Does that mean that a couple of them get a little bit more emotional during the game? Yes, it does. Which we saw this last game, but it was very back and forth. It's a max of 4 runs per inning.
Parents probably too.
And so we had all 4 runs, and then the parents have been in good shape. Again, as I've mentioned before earlier in the season, I am built different knowing that these are just 7-year-olds and 8-year-olds than some of these other coaches. Just gonna say that. Some of these other head coaches that we play, a good half of them from who we've played so far, they take this for this age group way too serious. Way too serious. And it's like, it is not worth the drama for a group of 7 or 8-year-olds. Like, we do not have to be it's competitive, and that's great. And we challenge these girls, but it doesn't have to be so crazy that we're at the point of really almost causing drama here. But anyways, it's been a great season. And so we have one last practice tonight, one last game on Saturday. Got some good stuff for them, and then off to the holidays. So, just a crazy busy week as usual.
Sounds like it.
Yeah. Well, we're about 20 minutes in, so we want to be able to move forward. We have a great Jesus moment today that I thought was really pressing. And I know I kind of say this a lot for some of our Jesus moments, but very, very not pressing, but very just has a lot to do with where we are as society. And the reason why I say that is because I think that we can all agree, for those that are listening, we have a lot more with the rise of social media in this world. We have a lot more outside influences than just inside the home. When we grew up and there was no internet, there was no social media, your sphere of influence surrounded your family and your friends and maybe those that, you went to church with or whatever. And now that you have access to millions and millions and millions of people and influencers from every category known to man, you have access to not only a lot more good influences, but you also have a lot more access to a lot of bad influences. And if you're not, and especially at a younger age when your mind isn't, when your mind is, it's a crucial time of growth and being molded and influenced
Right.
to lead you in a right direction moving forward in your life. It's a very, very pivotal time, where it's really important, especially as parents, with young ones, teenagers and stuff, that, we are a lot more on top of, say when you were raising your daughter,
Yeah.
to be a lot more intentional and the things that they see and the things that they put in their mind and so on. And so that's what our Jesus moment is about today, is allowing the belief system in our mind and the things that we allow into our mind to shape the way that we view things in life, especially our relationship with the Lord. I think we can both agree that, as humans, we make a lot of, I would say, poor decisions based on misinformation or lies, right? Like we will listen to certain things and in knee-jerk reaction, make certain decisions, and a lot of them aren't necessarily the greatest. We can be deceived by a lot of different things. We take the most recent one, COVID, right? COVID was one where there was a lot of information that came out, and there was a lot of misinformation on COVID, and whether or not you want to believe that or you don't, there was from one side or the other, not trying to promote one side or the other, but there was just a lot of misinformation that was out there in general. And it's one of those where you're like, it was a hard time or it was a hard season of what do I believe? How do I shape myself going forward with this? And so that's what we want to talk about today. Is A.W. Tozer said, what comes into our minds when we think about God is the most important thing about us. Your view of God is foundational to everything about you. That's a big thing for me, because when I think about God, if I don't have the right view of God, then that's going to shape and create the foundational piece for then how I react and view God moving forward in every ounce of my life. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
And sometimes I wonder if that also translate into how we think God feels about us. See, if we don't get into scripture, if we don't get into his word, if we don't take a time to allow his spirit to guide us and get before him and listen to him, then what happens is that we end up creating these own mindsets, right? About how God views us. Maybe you feel like God walks around mad at you, or that you compare yourself to other people, and that you see that great things are going on in this person's life. And it's like, okay, well, if I can just get my ducks in a row like this person, then the Lord is going to then, then I'll live in a lot more of his holiness then. So I need to get my ducks, or I need to be like that guy. Because if I'm not like that guy, then the Lord's not going to love me the same way. Everything is conditional, right? I have to act a certain way to get the love of God. If I'm not, and I'm going through a bad season of life, then that's because he hates me, doesn't like me, doesn't want to show me love or whatever, because of my decision making. And all that's a lack of knowledge, right? That's a lack of knowing him. That's a lack of having his spirit inside of you. That's a lack of influence. You can go to church and sit there and listen to sermons every day on a Sunday, and allow them to meditate into your heart and know that those particular mindsets are false. And but if we don't get before him, if we don't get into his word, then we end up just getting these false perceptions. I was reading here that some might believe that God thinks you're a mistake or a disappointment. I already shared that part there of my notes here. These beliefs about what God thinks of you shape every relationship you're in and every conversation you have. They're the places where our enemy tells us lies. And when we begin to agree with those lies, that's where he can hold us back from all that God has for us. So, again, pretty self-explanatory, right? The more that we allow the enemy to put these lies on our head, that everything is conditional upon like our works, or everything is conditional upon, what other people are doing in their lives or whatever, then we just allow the enemy to then that's what shapes. It's not the word. It's not what the Lord is doing. That's then what shapes our mindset on who we feel God thinks of us. or what God thinks about us. Excuse me.
Right.
You
Yeah.
got anything to add to that before I go on?
I do. I was going to go through some of the key takeaways from the base text that you're using, but I can go through that in a second.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say let's hold on to that. Let's hold on to that one.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
wanted to use before we went into those base texts. I wanted to bring up like a connecting story. Hold on one second.
Sure.
Of allowing that mindset. And so the one that I was reading about was Gideon. So Gideon in Judges chapter 6, he was introduced in that chapter during Israel's bad time. They were they had abandoned God at this particular point. They were kind of suffering under the Midianites, and the Midianites were taking their food, making them flee to caves, mountains, all the above. And Gideon was in fear, and he was hiding in a wine press underground. And so he was fear was making Gideon's job a lot more complicated than it needed to be. And when we allow that fear to drive our life, then that's when we can sit there and miss what the Lord wants to try to do for us. And in Judges chapter 6, verse 12, it says, when the angel of the Lord comes to Gideon, the angel says something that might kind of seem a little crazy to him, and it says, the Lord is with you, mighty warrior. And it says that exactly. I mean, it literally, an angel of the Lord coming to you in your darkest moment and in your fear.
And he's hiding
and
at this
you're
point.
hiding. And it says,
under
the
a
Lord
wine
is
press
with you, mighty warrior.
Yeah.
And I would imagine, you're the one hiding and I'm being called a mighty warrior, that it's kind of like a what? What is going on here?
Right.
He was
Do you
very
not see where I'm at?
yeah, but Gideon was very cynical about it all. And in verse 6:13, it says, if the Lord is with us, why has all this happened? And where are all his wonders that our ancestors told us about? They said, hasn't the Lord brought us out of Egypt? But now the Lord has abandoned us and handed us over to Midian. And so this particular devotional where I was meditating on all this, they call those particular mindsets and things spiders, right? That's what they call them. It was an interesting take, but they call them a spider. And it asked the question, maybe that's your spider too. Deep down, you feel like God has abandoned you. You might never have said these words out loud, but in your heart, you believe God has left you to figure things out on your own. You think he isn't hearing your prayers or showing up the way that he does for others. So that all ties into a belief system. Okay.
Yeah.
What you think about God, what God thinks about you, being abandoned, left behind. If I get myself like this person, then God's going to love me more. All three of them false, right? All mindsets false, but it's because of what we allow to enter into our mind as a foundational belief system.
Yeah.
That's what's shaping how we're going to live our life from this point forward, how every relationship is going to develop from this point forward, how our thought process and how we either share about the Lord or how we conduct ourselves, our family, our children, whatever. All of that is going to be the foundational piece moving forward. And so that's why, especially in the world that we live in now with social media, you can go on there and hear 90-second clips of every pastor known to man from every church all across the country. And it's like, well, newsflash, not all of them are necessarily going to be the right people to listen to. And so even though you think that you're hearing from a godly person because it's in a church, doesn't mean it's the right thing. And so I always think about this because I have two younger children, I mean, yours is a little bit older, but not super old. But nevertheless, you sit there and you look at a time when they're so young and moldable, and I feel like we're parenting less.
Okay.
I feel like as parents, we're not as intentional anymore in general as we should be, especially in today's society. So in getting your children phones and access to social media and things of that nature at a young age, you're allowing for them to be molded and influenced more from the outside world than you are from inside the home. So your foundational system, whether you're a godly home or not a godly home, your foundational system for your children is being developed from the word go, 7-8-year-olds from social media, from their friends
Right.
that are also being molded from social media. And
Right.
so I just feel like that's where we're, as a society, like that's why it's so important to be able to get before the Lord and
Yeah.
listen to his promises for your life. But and not only that, we talked about in the last couple of weeks the will that he has for you and so on. But the biggest thing is a mindset. You've got to be able to create that foundational mindset for you on what you think about God and how God thinks about you before you can even move forward into anything else, because that's going to shape everything else that you do, everything else that you say, and everything that you believe, from that point forward.
Right.
So we do. So we have some foundational, texts to break out on in connection with this. And so I'm going to pass it over to you to talk about your takeaway.
Yeah. No, everything you said is spot on, and I think it's important that we go through these base texts and then kind of unpack them as well to kind of take it to the next step. Right? Everything you said makes sense. So now what? The first one is out of NIV. Both these are NIV. Is Romans 12:2. It says, "Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will." I'm going to go back to that one in a second. And then the second one is 2 Corinthians 10:3-5. "For though we live in the world, we do not wage war as the world does. The weapons we fight with are not the weapons of the world. On the contrary, they have divine power to demolish strongholds. We demolish arguments and every pretension that sets itself up against the knowledge of God, and we take captive every thought to make it obedient to Christ." So those, JB, are the two base texts, kind of speaking about what you said. And for me, some of the takeaways from Romans 12:2, to go back to the first one, which is obviously about rejecting the world's influence, like you talked about, allowing God to transform your mind and discern his will through his mental renewal process, and that process involves actively changing your thought patterns, like you said, rather than just your behavior, which helps you understand what God finds good, acceptable, and perfect. So one of the things that I think about is, do not be conformed to the world. Resist worldly pressures. This verse specifically warns about being molded by the world's standards, behaviors, and customs. We have to understand, JB, the battlefield, like you talked about. The primary area of conflict is your mind.
Right.
And your thoughts and your beliefs are where you are either influenced by the world or transformed by God. Another point is to avoid neutrality. So you are either conforming to the world or pursuing transformation, or there is no in between. So you can't do both, right?
Right.
You're either moving towards one or the other.
Right.
Genuine change comes from an internal shifting in thinking, not just external behavioral modification. That was a takeaway from that text.
Say that one more time, what you just said there.
I said genuine change comes from an internal shift in thinking, not just external behavioral modification.
Yes. That's good.
Which you talk, which you, and again, this is an active process, right? It requires a deliberate and ongoing effort to renew your mind, which involves filling and focusing it with God's words. So that's basically staying in the word on a daily basis. Staying, I know we all have our moments of time spent with the Lord, but it almost has to be ongoing, right?
Oh,
because the Lord says to die to self daily. It's almost like a minute by minute, hour by hour process, depends on what's going on in your life. So I would just encourage
the verse just before verse 2, right? And this is and the start of this chapter talks about being a living sacrifice, right? So it says, "Therefore I urge you, brothers and sisters, in view of God's mercy, to offer your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God. This is your true and proper worship." So before even talking about not conforming to the world, it's showing you what your true purpose is, like what you're supposed to be using yourself for on this earth, which is a living sacrifice for the work of God, to his kingdom. And that is the ultimate form of worship, and pleasing to God is to do that. So that's where that ties in. So I always like to connect a verse before, verse after, to our verses, because that's the foundational piece for why, adding to that. Don't conform to this world. Why? Because this is why you were made, not to be conformed to the world, but you were made to be a living sacrifice for growing the kingdom and for, fulfilling the will of God, not to conform to this world.
That's
So
correct.
I just had to throw that one out there.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you added and connected it back. And as you know, the goal is this new way of thinking, right? So this renewal is like a renovation. It's tearing down old ways of thinking and replacing them with new ones. And I think the ultimate goal, obviously, is to discern God's will. So it's understanding itself actually is the result. And it's the renewing of your mind is the means by which you can prove what is the will of God, right? Mm-hmm. And the last part, to bring it kind of full circle, is it leads to, the last takeaway is it leads to perfect guidance. So this process helps us understand what is good, acceptable, and perfect according to God's plan. So that is my takeaways on Romans 12:2. Do you mind if we move over to 2 Corinthians, or do you want to add any of that? Subtract?
No, I got that one pulled up right now. I'm ready.
So 2 Corinthians 10:3-5 obviously highlights a spiritual battle. It's not physical, but it takes place in the mind, where we as believers use divine power to demolish false arguments and take every thought captive to obey Christ. Some of the key takeaways are that believers should not fight with worldly weapons, but with God's spiritual ones. And the primary battlefield is the mind, not external circumstances, which you talked about in great detail. So for me, on this scripture, although believers live in the world, their fight is not based on human strength or worldly tactics. Another key focus is the primary area of spiritual warfare is our thought life, where God controls truth, where God's truth is in conflict with opposing ideas. Mm-hmm. Okay. Another takeaway from 2 Corinthians is weapons are divine. Christians use spiritual weapons, described as God's mighty weapons, to demolish strongholds and lofty opinions that are against God's knowledge. And there are a lot of them out there these days, isn't there?
Yes, there are.
Last two is demolishing false reason. The spiritual warfare involves actively tearing down arguments and proud obstacles that elevate human reasoning above God's truth. And I think we can all think of at least 1 to 3 things in our personal lives that we could probably tear down in Jesus' name, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And the last one is take every thought captive. So a crucial part of this spiritual warfare is taking every thought captive and making it obedient to Christ. And I touched on that a little bit earlier. Even if it's a minute by minute situation, right? It's almost, you have to be at it constantly, especially in today's world. So yeah. Turn it back over to you, my friend.
Yeah, I think you brought up a spiritual warfare, right, within our minds. And I really think that that's where a lot of the turmoil comes when it comes to like having anxiety and struggling with, mentally being in a good place, moving forward each and every day of life, is that we are at such a stronghold from what we want to do and how we want to act to what the Lord says, because we want to see it in the moment. We want to see it happen in the moment. We want everything to be fixed right then and there. So we're praying about it. We can read the word. We can see what the Lord wants us to do. But then it's hard to then just sit there and then now wait for whatever it is to happen and accept those things. So when it comes to renewing of the mind, it's sitting there saying, okay, everything that I thought about this world, when it comes to it, the worldly mindset, I now take captive, I throw it away, and I change my mindset from this point forward. I make that decision to say, hey, I'm not going to struggle with these things anymore. I'm not going to be in warfare in my mind. I'm not going to allow these things to cause me anxiety. I'm just going to trust in the King of Kings and Lord of Lords moving forward. And so in which way I'm going to renew my mind. Also, it's staying away from a lot of these things. I think that we can both name a lot of things in life that cause turmoil within our minds that really have nothing to do or are needless when it comes to our everyday life and functioning. So it's like, okay, well, if these are things that are causing you to, to have, trials in your life or just trials in your mind, moving forward, you got to remove these things. These are outside influences that should have nothing to do with how you process life moving forward. I mean, I've spoken to people just as of recent, and the one thing I have to think about whenever I go and I talk to other people is I have a little bit of a different mindset than most because I live a different life. I see things because of the job that I've been doing for going on 19 years now. I just see things differently in life, and I embrace the little things a lot more to sit there and say, life is short. These are the things that I know that I need to be doing that are the will of God. There are things that I had opened myself up to before that were causing me to take steps away from that or not be able to put 100% into that, or were causing me to trip, when it comes to my faith, or trip when it comes to accomplishing the will of the Lord, or being the best father or husband to my family. And it's like, I'm not doing it anymore. Like I'm too old for this. Like I'm not going to deal with this nonsense anymore. Like I need to keep my priorities in order, put the King of Kings first, allow the will of the Lord to guide my life, trust in him moving forward to whatever his will is. And make sure that for me and my family, we're moving forward in the same way, in the same capacity. And we're not perfect at it, right? I'm not perfect at it. There are still things that happen in life that I allow mentally, to kind of mess with me. And it's like, and cause certain things to happen where I wrestle with, the bitterness or resentment or whatever. And then I end up getting into this wrestling match against what I know I should be thinking, how I know I should be processing it, how I know my mind should be handling it, and the way that I want to in my flesh. And I feel like that's the warfare that you were talking about, where that then shapes whatever reaction we're looking for from the Lord, or response that we're looking for from the Lord. When we don't get the response that we feel that we're supposed to get, then at that point, then that's how your belief system then changes, from this point forward. So I think that these are both great because it touches mainly on, and we actually said this not too long ago. We talked about a lot of the scriptures that we read put a lot of emphasis on the world, right? It always kind of mentions, don't be like the world, don't conform to the world, renew your mind, not on the things of the world. Like it always has a lot to do where it's the word of God from thousands of years ago, 2,000 years ago. It's explaining what's going on in this world today. Like this is legit stuff. Like, I mean, the word of God is truth. That truth,
eternal. It's eternal and relevant.
Yeah, nothing under the sun has changed. And it's like we are still living here in the word of God, and his instructions and directions, and the things that he is speaking about are still happening in this world. And so we have to take this serious when it comes to the things that they're saying, because if not, then we're going to have such a skewed view. Like even as adults, it's like we can allow every outside influence on the planet to control the way I'm going to believe 1,000 different things. There could literally be something that pops up for 30 seconds today on my feed about politics or something of that nature, or Donald Trump did this or whatever for 30 seconds. And it's like, you know what? The heck with that guy, and it's like, okay, well, there's no vetting that to see if that was truth. You can put anything out on the internet. You don't know if something's true or not true. You've got people on there all the time that say, I can debunk Christianity in 30 seconds, right? And so they'll spend 30 seconds trying to debunk it, and you're like, okay, well, that's the most ridiculous thing that I've ever heard. But if you're somebody that is not spiritually sound or gets into the word, surround yourself with the truth of God, then you're like, oh, well, that makes sense. Yep, Christianity isn't real. And it literally can take 30 seconds to take somebody's heart and mind and say, that's how now they're going to live their life. They're going to dive deeper into that 30-second mindset from this point forward and change the foundation to which they believe the Lord exists. And again, that can happen in every category known to man, from politics to religion to whatever. And, so that's why it's important for us to see this isn't just making stuff up. these words are not just for what they were going through 2,000 years ago. This is for now. This is for what we are actively going through now in 2025 in our society. And if we don't allow ourselves to not be a Gideon in that right, and allow as this devotional says, the spiders, to kind of infiltrate our brain and change our mindset. And especially when we're hearing from the Lord, like that was the main context of that story, is that like the Lord even they even called him, the angel came and called him a mighty warrior. And the end of this this one particular, where'd it go? When it comes to the story of Gideon, it was, let me see, Judges 6:9-10. And it says, God's prophet announced the people had abandoned him. And it said, I rescued you from the power of Egypt and the power of all who oppressed you. I drove them out before you and gave you their land. I said to you, I am the Lord your God. Do not fear the gods of the Amorites whose land you live in. But you did not obey me.
Right.
And it's like in our lives, we can see all the goodness of God and all the things that he has done for us, but yet we will still allow a spirit of influence in our life that is all around us, whether it's the people that you have in your life that are not supporting you, social media, the news, TV, whatever, to shape our life more than we will allow the Lord, who, if you take the time to get before the Lord, you can make a laundry list of all the things that he's done in your life to bring you through. And so that's the important thing that we have to focus on, is that us in the society as Christians, non-Christians, whoever, if you're listening to this and you're non-Christian, obviously, first and foremost, I would love for you to learn about God and who he is in your life, first and foremost, and what he's done for us, what he's done for you, and so on, and giving your life to the Lord. And that could be a step-by-step process for you. But for those that are, who do believe in the power of God, who do believe in the scripture, are just going through a hard time, we pray for you. We pray that you take those thoughts captive. We pray that you get into the word and understand that the things that are going through your mind are just from the enemy. The negative things that may be speaking to you about, whether you comparing yourself to somebody else, or that God doesn't love you because your life isn't going the way that you thought. These are all lies. These are all lies of the enemy. And if you allow yourself to believe them and allow that to set the standard in the belief system for you moving forward as to who God is in your life, you are not going to reap the benefits. And you're just going to fall into a life of disobedience, and it's just going to make life worse.
Yep, I agree. Well said, my friend. Well said.
So we hope. We ask all of you, but we also hope. But we ask all of you who, as we close this Jesus moment, please, if you have something that you have going on in life, we talk about wanting to make sure we share this at the end of the show, but we'll do it now. ChopTalkNation@gmail.com.
Yes.
ChopTalkNation@gmail.com. ChopTalkNation@gmail.com. We both have
now
access to that email.
Now do it backwards for all the dyslexia in the room.
No, I will not.
Myself included. Come on.
MOC. No, I'm just kidding. Please email us. We share these things because these are things that we have gone through in our own lives. These are our own things that we struggled with in our own lives. We are not perfect. We go through some of the same struggles of life as everybody else, but we can then come back to what we know to be truth, to where to find that peace, to where to find those answers, which is the Word of God. And we study these things so we can sit there and be just as impacted to say, man, am I struggling with any spiders in my life right now? Do I have any struggles or spiders in my life going on right now? And it just kind of helps you take inventory of your life to say, you know what, things could be better. Things could be better because this is what I'm doing. And I need to remove these things. This is shaping my belief system about the Lord and who he is in my life. And I got to get rid of him because it's not shaping my belief system to be, a positive manner, or the truth for that matter. So, we would love to hear from you. And I know that we say that every episode, but I'm being serious. If you have a question about any of this stuff, if you have something that you're going through that you want us to pray with you about, we would love to do that. We would love to get before you. It takes a village to go through this life and stay on the straight and narrow. That's why it's important to have people in your life, confidants in your life. Please email us. Please comment on this on Facebook or on Facebook, on YouTube, whatever, because we would love to talk with you. We'd love to make sure that together, as men and women in the Lord, that we're on that straight and narrow, that we are walking the straight and narrow. Let's work this out. Let's do this together, that we can all be on the same page with God's word. So,
I agree. We look forward to getting those emails from you, and we may be a digital altar call potentially in the future.
Sure,
JB could be on the horizon. The last thing that I'll add to this, if that's all right, is kind of the two final takeaways is to question and dismantle quote unquote lofty opinions or human reasoning that go against the knowledge of God. This might involve challenging worldly views on morality, purpose, or identity. And then the last part is understand that strongholds are often built on habitual thought patterns. Be consistent in your efforts, as neuroscience suggests, that intentionally redirecting thoughts can rewire your neural pathways over time. So just food for thought.
Awesome. Well, again, as always, for our Jesus Moments, we hope that it inspires you. We hope that you can go and take inventory of your own life. Think about all these things. Ask the Lord, ask yourself, look yourself in the mirror. Am I struggling with anything? Am I wrestling with any of these things? And really take the scriptures that we mentioned today and talked about today and the stories that we talked about today and the points that we made today, go back, listen to them, get before the Lord, meditate on them, allow him to move through, those scriptures in your life, that you come out on the other side, being able to just change your thought process moving forward and trusting more in him and creating a good, solid foundational base of who the Lord is in your life and what he thinks about you moving forward. So again, we hope that inspired, and we're going to move on here. I know it's always kind of like a crazy segue, right? Because we're just going from like real in-depth Jesus moments into talking about sports, which is our other passion that we have.
Starting with memes, which is the funny side, right?
So it's almost like we need like a commercial break, right?
Right.
And we'll be right back. And then you take a commercial break of music, come back and segue, so everybody can kind of like, digress from that and meditate on that, and then move forward into our next segment. So it's always a crazy transition, but thank you for always being here with us and working with us, through that crazy transition as we move on here for the sake of time. But yes, as always, we are Chop Talk. We built, this podcast on the foundation of sports and faith. And so we are, we always make sure that we make that time as well. I don't want to talk about sports today because I went like 0 for 1,000 over this weekend. It was a bad day for me, for sports in general. My Noles lost yet again.
Yep.
I was just reading a report this morning that if the Noles decide to part ways with Mike Norvell at the end of this season, that Jimbo Fisher would be interested in coming back. I'm like, oh, dear God. What a break that was. And so again, they lost another ACC. We only have one ACC win in 2 seasons. Or 2 in 2 seasons. It's crazy. It's a crazy time to be a Florida State fan. Everybody's rising to the gates to fire this coach, and anyways, my Bucks lost.
Word choice.
My Bucks lost.
Like your Bucks lost, yeah.
My Bucks lost to the Patriots. Baker Mayfield is not, I don't know if he's injured or what, but he has not been the same Baker from the beginning of the season over the last 3 games. So over the last month, because we had a bye week last week. Just not as aggressive. He's not taking those hard runs like he used to. Not trying to avoid sacks like he used to. You just don't see that spark and that fire with him. I mean, yeah, he's still making good plays, moving it down the field. But, and we still almost pulled out another win. I mean, we only lost by a couple points this last week. Defensively, it's still a liability for the Bucks. The Patriots had, I think, 28 points, and 3 of those touchdowns were off of plays over 50 or 60 yards. Like, plain and simple. They only had literally 1 touchdown drive that they worked themselves down the field to score a touchdown. Other than that, 3 of those touchdowns, 21 points, were off of explosive plays of 50 or 60 yards or more. And you're just like, dude, our defense has been a liability all season.
Yeah.
They just have shown up at the right times, at the right moments. And we are still struggling on offense because we don't have Bucky Irving. We don't have Chris Godwin. We don't have Mike Evans. Abuka is doing the best that he can. And so Baker's doing all the best that he can with Rashad White and everybody else around him. But it's a struggle. We're still doing really well, in the NFC South. And so, I don't know. We'll see what's going to go on here as the season progresses. The last 6 games are very favorable, for the Bucs. A lot of divisional games against teams that don't have a great record. So it's like, okay, but we got to figure something out. We need to get people back and healthy, and we need to figure something out if we're going to make any type of run, in the playoffs, whatsoever. Then Sunday night, I decided that I was going to go after our win on Friday night in the first NBA Cup pool game against the Celtics. We did a great job, and although Jaylen Brown, put a lot of points up on the board, came out with the W Friday night. So I was like, that's great. So I decided I'm going to go to Sunday night's game.
So you were there
at Amway Arena against the Celtics, and did not pull out the victory there. So I went 0-3 on the weekend. 0-3 on the weekend there in sports. And this is a terrible weekend in sports for me. So I am going to talk about sports today because that's what I like to talk about. But I'm not going to be happy about it. I'm just going to say.
All right. And yet you're still wearing the memorabilia, aren't you?
I mean,
you still got it on, my friend.
Die hard. Die they come. This is the newest pullover.
5-4. I understand Die Hard. It's on the wall behind me. The Chiefs, the Chiefs Arrowhead.
This right here, excuse me. This is the newest pullover that I got in Tallahassee the last game. Great pullover. Love it.
Yeah, it's good looking.
Okay, man. I do it because I'm a fan, and I'm a diehard fan, but it's depressing to put on right now. It's depressing to put on. Terrible start for the Magic this season.
I know.
I try to give grace to the fact that they've only played, except for this season, the starting 5 minus Desmond Bane, so 4, had only played 6 games together since 2 seasons ago, with everybody being injured last season. So it's almost like a lot of great players, but they're coming into this season learning how to play with one another again, is what it seems like. And so we got to get something together. The Magic average, you know me, I'm a numbers guy, right? So we average over 17 turnovers a game, which is astronomical. We lead the league in free throw attempts. Paolo Banchero is 3rd in free throw attempts, and we are only halfway down the list out of all the teams, 16th, 17th in the NBA in free throw makes. Our offense is surrounded by Paolo, Franz, Desmond Bane, everybody else being aggressive towards the basket, trying to get a foul, or turning the ball over. Like that's our offense. And then trying to shoot 30-something free throws a game, 30 or 40-something free throws a game. Like that's how our offense rolls. Is we're either going to make it when we do it, or we're going to get fouled and go to the free throw line, or we're going to turn the ball over. But as far as shooting is concerned, I haven't even looked because I don't want to be that disappointed. Here we are 10 games into the season, and we are absolutely, JJ, we are abysmal at shooting the basketball. I have not seen a team so terrible in shooting the basketball. Like that's what your job is. You are a basketball player, which means you were drafted, went to college, went to high school, got drafted in the NBA. All of that because of your skill and your ability to shoot a ball. And you cannot shoot a basketball to save your life. Night after night, you are shooting 38, 39%. You're shooting 7 for 100 from three-point land. You're shooting 39% from inside the free throw line, which is generally shots between 10 and 15 feet. I just don't understand how you can have a group of such talented individuals and you are one of the worst teams in the NBA in shooting the basketball, which is what you're paid to do. You're paid to literally be able to be open and shoot the basketball.
I want you to guess what the average field goal percentage for the Magic is right now this season. I have it in front of me. I'm just curious if you want to take a guess at it. It's probably going to anger you more.
Press me even more, right? So average field goal percentage.
Yep.
I mean,
between
I gotta
all
think
the players,
it's anywhere between 33 to 39% a game.
No, it's okay. Yeah, it probably is. But if you add in everybody like Goga, all the people who don't play as many minutes, if you add in all of their field goal percentages, which are probably weighted less, the number is 47.2. So it's not super awful. It's not 33 to 40 like you were
Through 10
like
games. The Magic have a 47%.
7.2, correct. With Paulo at 46.6. Franz is at 47.6. Wendell Carter's at 51.7. Jalen Suggs is at 57.9. And he's basically the highest in terms of the starters.
Well,
Desmond Bane's at 43.7. Jonathan Isaac's at 38. So not very good across the board.
No, not at all. And like I said, he's having Desmond Bane, through 9 or 10 games. I know he's playing on a new team, but he is one of the worst. He can't shoot the ball. He's struggling from behind the arc to shoot the 3-point ball. Of course, I'm going off right now, but of course, I don't have a meme of the week, but I had a video. And of course, this is a video of us making a 3 at the buzzer to beat the Celtics, or to beat who did we play last night?
Definitely not Celtics.
The Rockets? I forget. Oh, no, the Trailblazers, Portland Trailblazers. Played the Portland Trailblazers last night, and this is what happened at the very end of the game. Since we're just talking about this, I'll go ahead before we get
play it.
In anything else. I can play it. So we're
let's
gonna get this thing up and rolling here, up on our screen.
While you're doing that, 3-point percentages. I'm sure you'd curious to know that Bane's percentage is 27.7.
Yeah.
From behind the arc.
Yeah, thank you.
The Wendell Carter's 45%, pretty impressive.
Well, he
Penda
only
is
100 a game, but I mean,
true. Anyway. Suggs is 45. Paolo is 25% behind the arc.
Oh yeah, he's terrible.
25%.
He's terrible. He can't shoot the ball.
All right, Isaac,
this is last
21.
night.
So nothing better. What you got? Nice.
So obviously, I'm flipping out last night, right? I'm sitting there in the kitchen watching that. I got my 2 new guys that are sitting there watching me, and and they're watching me get frustrated because again we blow another lead. We're just the same shooting woes that we had last season are coming into this season, and we turn the ball over too many times. We're one of the top teams in turning the ball over, and when you turn the ball over and you can't shoot the ball, and your offense relies on being the top free throw attempt shooting in the league, but then you also only make half of them.
Right?
How are you going to put wins out on the court? Defensive rotations aren't great like they were last year. We were known for being a great defensive team. So many question marks that I'm just like, what am I watching? Because even with all those injuries last year to all those players, we still put up 41 wins. I'm like, we are not going to put up 41 wins this season. We're not going to play 500 This isn't even 500 basketball right now. This is like, there are teams that we should be destroying that we're coming down to the wire, getting close to. And it's just, you're talking about a Celtics team that has no Jason Tatum, and at least and no Porzingis. Porzingis is gone. No Jason Tatum. So the only thing they got is Jaylen Brown, and they are still shooting 40-something 3-pointers a game, and they're just killing you. They are just a team full of just regular shooters that can still be any team. I'm like, well, how in the world do we have such a talented group of individuals that cannot shoot a basketball? It's mind-blowing to me. I've never seen it. Honestly, I've never seen it. From everybody from Anthony Black, Jalen Suggs, Paolo, Franz, you got Goga Batadze and Wendell Carter, who are centers. They're shooting 3-pointers. You got Jonathan Isaac shooting 3-pointers. Like, it's literally a free-for-all. There's, no positions there. It's like, who's tall enough?
It's like they think it's an all-star game.
Yeah, it's like an all-star game. Everybody just spread the floor. Spread the floor. And hopefully somebody tall gets a rebound, and we're going to spread the floor. And everybody just start throwing up 3-pointers. We're one of the worst in the league at threes, but everybody just start throwing up 3-pointers. Instead of using these taller guys to really post up in the paint, or somebody teach Paolo how to shoot a basketball. I mean, he still comes out with 28-something points, and it's like, okay, well, half of those are free throws.
Yeah.
Half of them are free throws. And then it's like, and he waits until the last 2 or 3 minutes to start making like a bunch of shots, and you're just like, bro, I hope that they get this together. It's just so frustrating. Like I said, I'm glad they got the W last night. Diehard fan, but just so many expectations coming into the season. And I'm just so tired of having so many expectations on teams coming into the season and then they just crap the bed. So anyways, I digress. Bad weekend of sports across the board. I have nothing positive to share on the sports front. But yes. How was yours?
Well, I think we take this moment to show some memes to bring the mood back up.
Yeah,
good Lord,
sure.
man.
Sorry,
all this losing.
Sorry for bringing the mood.
I don't want to. I don't want to bring all of your losing into my sports.
Yeah,
news.
yeah.
Let's
switch gears
let's separate
into funny winning mode now.
There we go. Well, I mean, the Chiefs didn't win, but
they didn't win, or they were on a bye.
Well, we were on a bye this week. The week before, we didn't win.
All right, here's the first one we got here.
You're going to show some memes or no?
There you go.
Memes of the week, everybody. What do you got?
Can you see it?
I see you.
Okay, well, it's up. It's up.
Hold on. I think it's... Yeah, here we go.
There you go.
Screenshot side by side. Aaron Rodgers in that god-awful old-school Steelers jersey right next to Charlie Brown. And the meme is like, ha, 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 who wore it better? I don't know, man. I think Charlie Brown rocks the black and yellow pretty well.
I agree.
Squiggly stripes.
I think that they look like a crossing guard. Yeah, I think that was a terrible jersey.
What year is that from? Is that like the original? That is
I have
awful.
Zero clue. They look like a taxi. They really did. It's a terrible jersey. It's a terrible uniform.
Yeah. I'm not fashion pleased by any means. I wear basically the same thing at all times.
Yeah.
I wear the same 10 shirts. Actually, this shirt I pretty much wear for every show at this point. And by the way, for Chop Nation, I know you guys are interested. I do wash this, and it is fresh every time we have a show. It's not like in sports where you don't wash your jock or something because you keep winning.
Right.
This shirt has been washed, whether or not it looks like it or not.
All right. Your next one up
What else you got?
Is... Don't you put up the same one, because I clicked on a different one.
There it is. You've got a father and a son walking away, both wearing Chiefs memorabilia. They're walking away from the camera, and the little boy says, "Dad, what's loyalty?" He's like, "I don't know, son. I've only been a Chiefs fan since 2015."
Yeah, that's about right.
Which is relevant right now because 5-4, people are starting to jump ship, and I think it's funny. So I thought that was particularly relevant, being that we're over halfway through the season and we're just a little bit above 500, which is crazy for us.
Yeah, it's an interesting. We have one more meme to share here.
And this obviously I thought was funny because the Packers lost this past weekend.
Oh, breaking news from 1 hour ago. Breaking news here on ESPN. The Mavericks are expected to fire GM Nico Harrison.
Duh. Common sense would have told you that. Wow. They were booing him at the game with Cooper Flag.
Yeah.
They were firing Nico. They were basically booing him.
And he had like a
Are we surprised? We talked about him. Yeah. It had to happen, I think. I think it was bound to happen.
Yeah. I mean, they're one of the worst in the league, right? They're 3-7 in their last 10. They're 3-8 total. And I mean, their games have been somewhat close-ish, I think. Well, no, not really. No, not really. Never mind. I was sitting there thinking, okay, that they were somewhat close or whatever. I mean, there were a few that were, but then others that were not. And yeah, I mean, I think Cooper Flagg is doing okay, for what he's doing.
15 points. 15
Yeah.
points
I mean,
on average.
honestly, though, like, I don't think.
But he's only getting 32 minutes a game.
Yeah, the problem is, and I don't know the answer to this question. I should know because I should have been following this. So forgive me, Chop Nation, for not knowing this. But
shame on you. You should know all stats at all times.
Yeah, right. See, yeah. So I don't see guys like the Anthony Davises and Kyries, right? So like that's the whole reason why you got who you got, is you got Cooper Flagg to join in with Kyrie and Anthony Davis, and without those guys being there, you're not really. And it even says here, 3 hours ago, Mavericks have a growing Anthony Davis problem after latest health update.
Yeah, but we knew this was going to be. That's why he's getting fired.
And we said this, right?
You brought in injury-prone Anthony Davis.
Yeah,
and traded away your guy.
When we
your
started,
franchise player.
Yeah, when we had the whatchamacallit, we had the podcast around that time. We were sitting here and we were like, okay, this was completely dumb. Because he is injury prone. His first game there, and I'm reading that, Kyrie could come back at some point fairly soon. But yeah, that he was going to be injury prone. His body was made of glass. He was having a great game, his first game, went out injured, missed a ton of time the rest of the season. Kyrie can't stay healthy. And it's like, and so, yeah, do I think that a Luka team right now would be winning a few more games? Well, sure, because he's Luka, right? And he's doing phenomenal right now for the Lakers without LeBron. And you're like, okay, well, yeah, that's what you get, man. Like, you went and your mindset was defense wins championships. So you gave up Luka, whose conditioning looks tremendous right now. And and he's balling out. And you just made one of the worst deals of the century. That's all. I mean, yes. And you doing so, you probably won less games to the point where you could go get Cooper Flagg. Yes, I can probably agree with that.
Yeah. But I want to add a stat here because I think this is important.
Go for it. What you got?
I think this stat is important to basically piggyback on what you just said, is the Mavericks are only scoring 97.8 points per 100 possessions when Cooper Flagg is on the court. And when Flagg is off the court, Dallas's offensive rating shoots up to a 109.4, bro. Oh, wow. So basically Dallas playing Flagg out of position at point guard is what Siddery was saying has been a disservice to him and the team's success. So they feel like they've got him out of position.
Yeah,
he is.
He doesn't play point guard.
And when he's off the court, their numbers shoot up by 10%. So that should tell you 12%, really. That should tell you something.
How many possessions did he sit there and play point guard in college? Like, that wasn't his role in college. It was to play the point guard spot. And based on his size or whatever, you bring him in to do that. And it's like, dude, that's not his position. You don't need to put him at point guard. That's not what he's trying to do. So, I don't get why they're putting him in that spot. I don't know if that's a Nico issue. I don't know if it's a Jason Kidd issue.
Not anymore. He's gone.
Yeah. But, that was crazy to me. Sorry, that was breaking news, so we just had to talk about it for a minute.
No, that's fine. No, I mean, it's
I was actually looking at where the NFL standings and stuff were as of this last week, and it just happened to be breaking news there. But switching back to the NFL, because you were looking at the Steelers uniform, they're on pace for their 9-8. They're 5-4. So they're on pace for their 9-8 season, which will still probably win the NFC or the AFC North. New England again, 7 in a row. I mean, this team again played great against the Bucks. Again, I don't think they beat us. I think we beat ourselves. I just think that defensively, our secondary and stuff is a liability. I don't think Todd Bowles is running the right defensive schemes. We've got players wide open underneath all day long. So whatever zone stuff he's doing, he's focusing more on blitzing and putting pressure on the quarterback than he is on anything behind the line of scrimmage. Or behind that defensive line. Everything behind that defensive line takes a backseat to blitzing and trying to get to the QB, and it's terrible. And people are wide open all day long. Screens, explosive plays, it doesn't matter. 8, 9, 10 yards underneath, they're all wide open. But still after even after week 10, You still have the Patriots, the Colts, and the Broncos, who have won 7 in a row. They're that sleeper team, right? The Broncos 7 in a row. But again,
I was going to say
go ahead.
I was going to say, if you would have told me at the beginning of the season that the New England Patriots, the Indianapolis Colts, and the Denver Broncos would all be 8-2 at this point in the season, I would have told you go fly a kite, and I would have not put any money on that.
5-4.
Oh, we're not talking about that.
No, but I'm just saying you wouldn't have believed it, right? You wouldn't have thought, that's where you would be at.
I'm like, yeah. If you would have said, hey, the Chiefs will be 3rd place in the AFC West at this point in the season,
right,
I would have laughed real hard, and I probably would have had to go to the hospital because I would have probably busted something open, honestly.
Well, again, you've got the in the NFC, nothing has really changed, right? You got Philly, who's won 3 in a row. They've got the top spot right now between Philly, Seattle, and the Rams. Those two are just going at it. Same thing, 7-2, 1-4 in a row.
7-2, 7-2, 6-4,
yeah, and then they're just one of the. I feel like that's it. That's the division. That's where one of those wild card spots is going to come from. Is that NFC West, because you're going to have those 4 divisional winners, then it's like, okay, well, whoever's going to be next at the NFC West is going to have that wild card.
Yeah, I think it's the Eagles, Lions, Bucks, and Seahawks if they can hold on, and then you've got 3 more. So it's basically the Rams, either the Bears or the Packers, and maybe the 49ers. I would say round out the playoffs.
Maybe the 49ers
if it ended today.
Yeah.
And then obviously in the AFC side,
Joe, do not, at this particular point, as crazy as it sounds, for that wild card spot. They're not going to take the NFC South. But Carolina has been playing some great football this past week.
Oh, I thought you may say that. Yeah. This is not going to happen, buddy. I mean,
no, but I'm just saying, but they're 5-5. Like they were terrible coming into the beginning of the season. Just over the last few weeks together, they've been putting together much better performances than they had before.
If their goal was to get a top first round draft pick, after this coming season, they're doing a very bad job of it.
They're doing very bad.
Being 5-5, very poor, very poor.
Completely agree. Anyways, all right, we are running out of time here, but
hold on now, real fast. AFC, you went a different direction. So right now, if the season ended, I would say it'd be the Patriots, Steelers, Colts, Broncos. I don't think the Chiefs are going to make it.
Okay.
Yeah, because we did the NFC and we got to do the AFC. We can't leave Chop Nation hanging, man. We got to do both sides. So those 4, and I think the Bills do get in as a wild card. I think it's the Chargers and Chiefs, or maybe even the Jags. So that is my call.
Yeah. So currently, right now, as it stands, it's got Indy, Denver, New England, Pittsburgh, and the Chargers. So I guess did they own the tiebreaker?
Who?
Where's Seattle?
Who?
No.
Seattle.
No, I'm sorry. I was looking at the NFC. Sorry. Or no, I was looking at the AFC. Were you doing the AFC
Chargers,
now, or were you doing the NFC?
We're doing the AFC. We already did the NFC.
Oh, okay.
We're doing AFC right now.
Well, I was thinking of the Rams. So the Chargers, and then the first wild card after that is Buffalo, Jacksonville, and then Kansas City.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, at 500 teams, right? I mean, what are you gonna do? And the same thing, like you said with the NFC, and then you got the Bears, Packers, 49ers, and then like I said, right there, 1 game behind the 49ers, you got the Carolina Panthers. So I agree. If they're looking to try to change QBs or whatever, they're not doing a great job of it.
Poor. And the one thing I'll add, we don't have time for the Chiefs news, but obviously they're thinking about a potential change with the New York Giants at head coach. And there are some rumblings that Spags may be in the running for that. I don't know if you've heard that or not.
Really?
Our defensive coordinator, Steve Spagnuolo, he won a Super Bowl with the Giants against the Patriots, ended their undefeated season many years ago. So he could be in the running to be a head coach again with the New York Giants. And I think he would enjoy that because obviously he has Jackson Dart. He's got Cam when he comes back healthy, and then he's got that front line of Brian Burns, Dexter Lawrence, and Abdul Carter. So he's not without weapons if he does switch over.
That is true.
We'll see.
That is very, very true.
Yeah.
I forgot. Brian did get fired this past week, or weekend, excuse me, after their latest loss. I agree, though. I think that they needed to move forward. This is a new direction with a good team, good players. I think they really can turn it around. I just don't think he was going to be it. So I think you bring somebody else in there, that can really mold a younger team. And I think you'll see them be successful with those couple guys, especially on offense, moving forward.
Sir,
for sure. All right, boys and girls. Again, we are running out of time here, but we, as always, we love everybody. We love all you guys. We love everybody for listening. It just means a lot to us to be able to come out here and to do this each and every week to the best of our ability in our crazy schedule. It's just our time to be able to just interact with you, interact with one another, be able to share with one another, all the things that we, want to share that the Lord puts on our heart. And so we, again, as always, appreciate everything you guys do. And we appreciate you guys listening. And as always,
stay prayed up, and thanks for watching, and play that music, my friend.
Take care.
Just